Hello, today is Wednesday, May 13th, 2020. Today we're having another reading lesson. We're going to introduce the word does, D-O-E-S, does. For this lesson, all you need is your piece of paper that looks like this, that has lines on it. It's page 280, and you just need a pencil and eraser on top of that. I'll wait while you get it. Let's go on to the next page. Here we are introducing the word does on this page. Does is spelled D-O-E-S, and you can see it in red on the top of the page. Also, you see it on a large word card, which is about the bus. We're going to point to each letter one at a time, and you're going to say the name of the letter with me. Let's begin. Let's point D-O-E-S, does. Let's do it one more time. Be sure to point to it. D-O-E-S, does. Below that, you see a picture of a bus. That's the kind of bus you probably see in a city. And I'm going to use a sentence with the word does in it. Where does the bus go? I use the word does in a sentence. Now, also, if you look above the bus, you see the word does in small letters. Again, we're going to point to each letter. We're going to say the name of each letter, and then we're going to say the word. Point to the letters, please. Let's do it with me. D-O-E-S, does. Very good job. Now, let's look at the sentences next to that. You see, let's start with sentence number 1. We have a sentence that ends with a question mark. That means it's an asking sentence. They're going to ask you something. And it begins with a capital D. All sentences need to begin with a capital. And it has spaces between each word, which all sentences need. Now we're going to read it, and then we're going to find out if it makes sense. I'm going to, just like always, underline words we know as we're reading, circle words we do not know, okay? Now, let's begin. Point to the word does. Let's read it. You ready? Does she want to go to the last word is a tricky word. So we're going to circle it. Many of you have written that word or you have seen it in sentences. Now, the O doesn't really go oh. It's tricky, even though it has an E at the end. With the OR, makes a noise together, goes or. So it kind of goes O, but or. So let's start at the beginning and sound the S. The S goes S, the T goes T, the OR goes or, store. That's the word store. Now let's go back to the beginning of the sentence and read the asking sentence together. Does she want to go to the store? Does it make sense? Sure it does. Now let's go to sentence 2. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to underline each word that we know and sound out the word or words that we don't know. In this sentence, I think there are 2 words that we may not know. So let's point to the word she. Everyone point to the word she. Let's underline it. She does, that's our new word, the, here comes a little more complicated word that we may not know yet. So we'll sound it out. Okay? It begins with a B. So it goes B, E goes E, S goes S, T goes T. It has 4 sounds. Wow. Usually most words we sound out only has 3. So let's try it again. B, est. best. Best is the word. So now let's begin at the beginning of the sentence and reread it. She does the best. The next word is a word that we have used in a lot of sentences. Some of you may remember it, some of you may not. It begins with a TH, and we've talked about the TH. When they're together, they go, let's try that sound together. You get to stick out your tongue for that. Now let's put our fists together and sound out the word at, that. So let's go to the beginning of the sentence and read. She does the best that she can do. Now, I began that sentence with a capital, ended it with a period because it's a telling sentence. And did it make sense? Yes, it did. Let's read it again and you'll find out that it does. Point to the word she, please, and let's read. She does the best that she can do. There you go. Now let's look at the sentence underneath, and it begins with the word what. That's a word we know. What begins with a W, and the W is a capital there because it's the first letter in my sentence. I see a question mark at the end of my sentence, so it's an asking question. We know all but one word of that story, and so we'll sound out that word, or that I should say of that sentence. Let's point to the word what, and let's begin. Are you ready? Let's go. What? Oops, excuse me. What does he see? And then my picture covers a word actually that we don't know. It's I-N. So we'll sound it out. What sound does the I go? I, and the N goes N. So the word is in. And I know that's not a very good N. In. So far, let's go back and read up to that. What does he see in? The next word is the. And the last word is a word we probably don't know. But guess what? It has two E's in it. And remember, if it has two E's in it, the second one is quiet, and the second one gives the magic power to the first E. So the first E will say its name, which is E. Second E doesn't say anything. Let's sound it out. You ready? T, R, E, S. Let's try again. T, Trees. Trees. The word is trees. Let's go back and read the entire sentence together. What does he see in the trees? And it makes sense. Now let's go to the next page. And the next page, you will need page 280. You will need your pencil and an eraser. And if you notice at the top, they have the word name. Next to that, please write your first and last name in pencil, and I will wait. Write your first and last name in pencil, and I will wait. Now let's look below that, and you see a line. You see a dotted line underneath it, and you see another line. That's where we're going to start. We're going to practice writing the word does 2 times. First, we're going to when we write the word does, we're going to use all lowercase letters. Let's start by writing the D. You start on the top line, go down to the bottom. I do have to do that again because I know it's going to erase. There you go. Do that, please. But we're not done. You go from the bottom, you go up to the middle and go around and in. And that's a D, a lowercase d. Make sure you write your lowercase d, please. Next to that, you're going to write an O. The word does has do at the beginning of it. So let's, and it's going to be a lowercase o, so it's going to be below the dotted line. Oops. And that's an O. It's below the dotted line, or it hits the dotted line, but it's not above the dotted line. Now, after the O, we have an E. It's a lowercase e. So remember, we start off by making a line between the dotted line and the bottom line. Then we take the end of that and we go around, up and down. Didn't come out very well. That did not come out well at all. That's an E. D-O-E. Now you do it, please. Remember, it's harder for me to write on paper because I'm writing on a slide. And I cannot write with a pencil or pen. I have to write with my finger. So it's D-O-E. Then we have a lowercase s. D-O-E-S. And it keeps erasing. It's very frustrating. I think it will say now does. Hopefully you can do a better job than that. Now, after you write that, put your finger next to it, or pencil, or eraser, and we're going to write the word does again, okay? First, you make a line from the top to the bottom. Oops, for some reason mine didn't work. Let's try again. There you go. Let's do it on your paper, please. Now you start in the bottom, you go up and around and in. That's lowercase d. Please do it on your paper. Make sure you leave space between the S and the other word does and the D. Next, write a lowercase o. Remember how the word does has the word do in it. Okay? D-O. Write the O, please. Now let's write a lowercase e. To begin the lowercase e, you make a line. Oops. You make a line between the dotted line in the middle and the bottom line. Then you go to the end of that line and you go up and around and up. E. Again, that's not a very good E. So far, you should have written D-O-E. Then you're going to write an S at the end. Go below the dotted line and an S. Oops, it keeps wanting to erase my S for some reason. There you go. You should have written the word does 2 times. You should have left space between the S in the first does and then D in the next word does. Now below that, we're going to write a small asking sentence. It's going to say, does Pete want to go to the zoo? We're going to use does as the beginning word in my sentence. Does begins with the letter D, but since it's the beginning of my sentence, it is a capital D. Now, we have some people in our class whose name begins with a capital D. We have Darvin and Destin. So we're going to make a capital D. You start at the top line, you go to the bottom. You go straight down, please. It looks like the lowercase l or the number 1. But we're not done. We're going to the top of the line and we're going to make sort of a half circle and then go around to the bottom. And that's a capital D, like in Darvin and Destin. And it goes down. And I bet they can do that nicely because they are used to writing their name all the time. The rest of you have a D in your name, but not a capital D at the beginning of your first name. Next, we're going to write a lowercase o because remember it has the word do in it. D-O. And again, I'm not writing very neatly because I have to write with my finger on the screen. Somehow my stylus won't let me do that. So I have D-O. Then I have a lowercase e. Ooh, that's not very good at all. We make a line in the middle. Then we go up and around, and again, that's going to erase too. E, D-O-E. Make sure you do it. Remember, all those letters should be below the dotted line. Now, please make an S. The S is next to the E. And you have the word does. D-O-E-S, does. Go wait till everyone has time to write it. My next word will be Pete. Now we have seen this word Pete in the lesson on Tuesday and in the lesson on Monday. Let's sound it out. P, eat. First of all, let's go to the beginning. I heard a P. That's a P. And since it's somebody's name, it's going to be a capital P. But before I write P, I need to leave a space after the S. So you need to get your pencil, an eraser, or whatever it takes. Start at the top line to write the P. You go straight down. Then you go to the top and you curve around, but you go in on the line. And that's a capital P. Please do it on your paper. Now we P-E. Oh, the E says its name. We have a lowercase e. We start by going in the middle. Go up and around. That's an E. Please write an E on your paper. P-E. P-E. T-t-t. What letter makes that sound? So T, we're making a lowercase t. I start my T at the top. I cross on the dotted line. Oh, that wasn't the best. Let's see if I can do a better T. Oh! Instead of grabbing a eraser, I grabbed the white. P-E-T. Please write the T on your paper. eat. Now I heard the E. If I heard the E in the middle of the, yeah, I heard an E in the middle of the word, that means I need to have a quiet E at the end. So write an E at the end. Let's go out, up, and around. And you have an E. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to show you. But I cross out the E because it has an E at the end. Gives magic power to the E in the middle. So the E says its name. It goes E. So we eat. So far my story says, does Pete? I want to write the word want, but I ran out of room next to the word Pete. So I write it in the next line here, or the next areas I write it. Now I want to write the word want. I know how to write want because that's one of our words that we practice. It begins with a lowercase w. Then it goes a lowercase a. That's kind of tricky. It's not very good. And lowercase n and a lowercase t. It's not a very good job. I'm sorry. But again, I'm writing with my pen, my finger on the screen, and it doesn't always want to do it very well. Please write the word want on your page. Make sure the A and the N and the W go below the dotted line. So the question goes, does Pete want? W-A-N-T is want. Now my next word is to. It's a T-O kind. But think, before we write to, what do I need to do? Add space, that's right. So use your finger, a pencil, eraser, glue stick, whatever it takes. We're going to make lowercase t and lowercase o. To. So for my sentence says, does Pete want to? Please write to. Does Pete want to go? Is my next word. So I need to put space after the word to. And you know how to spell go. G O. Go. Please write the word go, and I'll give you a minute to catch up. Now I'm going to go back to the beginning of my sentence and read it. It begins with the word does with a capital D. So let's point and read. Does Pete want to go? Oh, the next word is to again. It's my TO2, and I think I space. So I'm going to write T, T, O. Barely enough space. So write to again, and guess what? I have two times in that sentence. 1, 2. I use that kind of to a lot in writing, and I'll see it a lot in books. So please write the word to. We are almost done with our sentence. So far the sentence says, does Pete want to go to? And we want to write the word the next. I do not have space on that line, so I'm going to the last line. I'm going to write a oops, I meant to do it in black. Lowercase t, lowercase h, and lowercase e. And that's the word the. Please write the word the. Make sure you leave spaces between the word does and Pete. Leave a space between Pete and want. Leave space between the word want and to. Leave space between the word to and go. Leave space between the word go and to. And then to and the. Now I'm going back to read. Does Pete want to go to the? My last word is zoo. Now, before I write zoo, I need to leave space after the word the. Let's sound out zoo. Zzz, ooh. Zzz, ooh. Now, what do I have at the beginning? Zzz. That's a Z. Leave space after the word the, and let's write a Z. Very good job. You write a Z on your page. Make sure you left space. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Now, remember, we said you can make that sound, but this time we have two O's that make that sound. So write two O's after the Z. Write your two O's and then we'll wait. Okay, I want to go back and read the sentence to see if it makes sense and see what I need to put at the end of my sentence. It goes, does Pete want to go to the zoo? Am I telling you something? No, I'm asking you something. So we're going to draw a question mark. A question mark is kind of weird to draw. To write, actually, it's a round. It's kind of like a backwards C at the beginning. On the top, goes straight down, and then you put a dot. Whoops. It's hard to see my dot, but there's a dot there. So let's read it one more time. Does Pete want to go to the zoo? Thank you very much. Oh, my dot disappeared. Thank you very much. This is the end of our reading lesson. We will see you tomorrow. Bye.